We got a little combo on this one too, but
Yeah,
all right.
combo.
I've been talking a while. This is King's topic, but we got a
Of
lot to
course.
discuss, man. Sony layoffs, 900 people, 8% of their workforce. PlayStation London studios will close in its entirety. The company is also canceling the Twisted Metal racing game, or being franchise that they had, which is developed by subsidiary Firesprite, and it was also impacted by the layoffs. Sony said the layoffs will also impact game makers Insomniac, Naughty Dog, and Guerrilla Games, three of its most successful subsidiaries. Guerrilla Games, they're cutting 10% of its staff. PlayStation London, best known for the SingStar series as well as multiple virtual reality games, will be shut down. So we do have a statement. Two statements went out. One from Herman Hulse, kind of explaining that. And, basically went on to say, in addition, there was going to be smaller reductions in other teams across PlayStation Studios. He said, our goal at PlayStation Studios was always to make the best games for PlayStation fans, and our global community of studios represent some of the most creative and talented teams within the games industry. They said PlayStation 5 is in its fourth year. They said they need to step back and look at what our business needs. And they said, he's talking about experiencing the fundamental changes of the industry, how they create and play games. He said, and this is kind of the key sentence for me, delivering the immersive, narrative-driven stories that PlayStation Studios is known for at the quality bar that we aspire to requires a reevaluation of how we operate. And he goes on to talk about the online experiences and as far as allowing PlayStation games to explore different ways, as well as launching games on additional devices such as PC and mobile requires a different approach and different resources. Also looks like Jim Ryan had a follow-up comment that he also sent a letter to the studios internally talking about how the landscape is changing in the industry and that a lot of these changes made them go into careful consideration. They said we had to step back, look at our business holistically, and move forward, focusing on the long-term sustainability of the company and delivering the best experiences possible for our community. The goal is to streamline our resources to ensure our continued success and ability to deliver experience gamers and creators have come to expect. So yeah, he sent out this internally. About, again, we talked about the regions, SIE regions, Americas, Europe, Japan, APAC, and also he talked about I believe PlayStation. He talked about in Japan they will implement a new career support program, and those details will be communicated separately. So there's still a lot more. There's even I don't know how far y'all want me to get into this rabbit hole, but I don't know if you guys saw the Eurogamer article in reference to toxic culture at Fire.
Oh, yes.
And it's really bad.
I'm too excited about this.
Death by 1,000 Cuts. The Liverpool studio. Apparently, there's reports from sources from two senior leaders at Sony that Sony support studio XDev brought in to help and lead Firespite. They said have been accused of sexual discrimination and ageism. The reports are pretty alarming. There's a lot of stuff. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the site Glassdoor, where they talk about how company culture is. Right. Public employee reviews of Firespite on the review site Glassdoor describe horrendous studio heads who are way out of their depth. They just care about the money, leading to a toxic bullying culture and culture of fear. One recent review takes a more sympathetic view, saying that Firesprite's old way was disorganized and Sony has remolded the studio, but others suggest that there is a tremendous change in company culture. Man, there's a lot to go on. They talk about nepotism. Staff also describe the new bosses out of their depth and holding different values from what Firesprite original founders were. It seems that leadership doesn't need to be earned and the trust is gone. Another source described them as inadequate toxic mess, tyrants and bullies who treat people like it's a factory. I'm just going to skip this. It's so much. I'm just trying to get key quotes because it really going on. One push to hire specific talent prompted roles to be invented to hire specific people. Sources say only for this effort to be scuppered by a hiring freeze from Sony. Sony has committed the worst possible mistake in buying a studio and meddling to the point where it may end up in a death spiral and unable to complete any of the projects it is working on. Sources also say there was pressure on Horizon Zero Dawn creator Guerrilla about their impact as far as that. That's understandable. Obviously, they wanted to see how the VR title was going to go, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. But they just talk about the crunch, the pressure. This thing goes on. It's literally, I highly advise, I'll put the link in the chat. It's just too much to
It's
to
just
talk
too
about.
much to just talk
It's
about
too
one
much.
time.
It's yeah,
crazy.
we'll be here all day. It's a Eurogamer article.
It's so much stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're out of pocket. No, but all seriousness aside, jokes aside, it is really, this is probably one of the most, I would say, kind of like Jason Schreier level of investigative reporting, with, again, in reference to XDev, the culture at Firespite, the toxicity, and then obviously, you know, what we know to be now as far as reduction in workforces and London studios being closed. So, King, the topic is yours. You know, what are your thoughts on this whole situation?
I told y'all Rome was burning a long time ago. And the fact of the matter is, remember when Jim got into place and he was just like, yo, Japan, y'all not doing what y'all supposed to be doing? Because they already made Europe the focal point. They consolidated everything over there. They made everything strong over there. Remember, that was what the argument was for the FTC. That was their stronghold. They made you guys important. And they devalued Japan, closed down studios, and shift their focus. And they won the PlayStation 4 generation off of the backs of those movements. Just to turn around to get to the PlayStation 5 generation, just not too long, just been 4 joints into this joint, to shut down that studio.
Yeah.
The most egregious part was you was there a couple of days before then. They done paid, chipped in for your coffee cake. Y'all all sitting there smiling, and then you gonna ask them. You put a hiring freeze in place just to let go of those people. Now, everybody was telling me before, Microsoft meddles to the point of, oh, they destroy companies when they get them. Toys for Bob will tell you something different. Toys for Bob is an independent entity at this moment. They separated themselves from Microsoft, and they was allowed to let go do what they were supposed to do.
We'll get into it.
Was this studio offered that same opportunity?
No.
Exactly. So this is what I'm talking about. We are watching the true identity of companies come out right in front of us. I think that FTC joint where everybody had to put all their cards on the table, because there's a lawsuit going on right now with Sony out there with all the egregious practices that was going on, 600 million, something like that, lawsuit. And I'm getting a chance to get a peek in the window to the work-like culture. It's crunch, sexism, ageism, nepotism.
Yeah.
The nepotism part bothers me the most because what you don't understand about nepotism is
real.
that's toxic within itself, because that feels like that person didn't earn that position. He only gets into the position because he's family of whoever's in charge, right? And that goes across the board. It's all around the place. That's great if it's your own business. You hire your son to work, but imagine you hire your son that doesn't know anything about the business, and he's in there with the employees, and he's being disrespectful, mean, and turning the culture into something absolutely terrible. And these people can't talk out about it, right? So, but now they're coming out and they're talking out about it. Now they're not afraid. I think we're going to hear more about these stuff going across the boards. But what was more so troublesome was the fact of the matter that successful studios is being impacted by Sony's mismanagement of their direction. Their direction was blockbuster. So they produce blockbusters. They said, we're going to give you what you asked for. You want cinematic, single player, great quality games, bangers. We're going to give you the bangers, only to be rewarded with, oh, we got to cut 70%, 7% of your staff. But we just released, Spider-Man 2 is doing great, but nah, we got to have cuts. Or Bungie, if you don't reach this, then we're going to take you over. So Bungie got to make cuts. This bullying is going on all over the place inside Rome. I want to know, when is people going to really start stepping up and calling them out for exactly who the hell they are and stop trying to protect Kong? Kong is a terrorist.
Yeah, I mean, look, we got to talk about it. This is, in your defense, this is definitely something we rarely see this level of investigative reporting on the Sony side. I feel like so it was very very alarming, and we got to talk about obviously Fire Sprite specifically. Like a lot of those guys are former Liverpool, like that the classic studios and things of that nature, and then obviously the closing of the studio. But let me open it up to you, Attic, in reference to the layoffs, 900 people, also in terms of the top performers, kind of like what King was saying. It's also affected Naughty Dog with layoffs, Gorilla, Insomniac, the ones that kind of really carry PlayStation so far. So, what are your thoughts on all these layoffs and closing of the studio and the toxicity at Fire Sprite, that report?
I think maybe I'm wrong in this, but I think PlayStation's like the only company like laying off people from studios that actually have successful projects. Like I can't remember even Microsoft. Like you didn't really hear them laying people off to that degree on studios that make the money. So it's kind of interesting, and the reason I bring that up is because like they laid off people from Naughty Dog, they laid off people from Insomniac, and like these are the breadwinners. So, so it's just like, to me, I'm sitting here looking at from, even if Microsoft does it, EA does it, Sony does it, if you have a successful game and you still get layoffs, what's the goal here?
No valid.
Like what's the goal here? Like what incentivizes people to actually work hard, bring a good product to the market? Because even if you bring a fantastic product to the market, if you could still get let go.
Yeah.
And they were laying off, like, I think someone at Naughty Dog, like a head something.
Mm-hmm.
Like someone from one of the departments that oversees the department or something. It's just like where does the industry go from here? Right. Where you can't even do a good job and you still get punished for it.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point. And we knew about this was coming on some level from the Insomniac leaks, right? We did know that, unfortunately, because of the leaks of the other stuff, they found out that they would have to reduce, forces and staff there. But yeah, no, it's a good point. The blood run is there. Solve your thoughts,
and real quick, like they laid off people from Insomniac that you can argue is the only reason that they have anything right now. So it's just like, look, I get it. We're in a weird world right now, but at the same time, we didn't set that up either. And to me, when you're laying off people to this degree, there's got to be an overall arching reason you're doing it. Now, whether or not it's this or whether or not it's that, they're going to have to be a little bit more specific on the reason they're doing these kind of things to me. But I think it's corporate greed. That's just my opinion on the matter.
They want more profit. Yeah.
Because here's the thing. It's like Phil Spencer said, when you squeeze as much as you can out of the markets that you're currently in, see, Xbox, even though I disagree, they're like, look, we're going to go to other markets. We're going to figure out other ways of making money. I still disagree with that movement, but they did choose like the better way. Sony's like, we'll release on PC, kinda. Oh, that didn't do anything. Okay, who can we get rid of that's not essential?
Yeah, that's bad.
And it's just like, and I saw people sitting there on Twitter saying, well, it wasn't all devs. I don't care who it was. I don't care if it was the janitor. Like, you mean to tell me that the people in that building ain't safe when they sell 15 million of a game?
Yeah, I mean,
like, and I had a lot of issues the way that Spider-Man 2 launched, but I can't say it wasn't a good game. It was very, very buggy to me.
Right.
Now, I know that, like, obviously at that time, like the day one patch supposedly did all that, but it's just like.
But is it very buggy because it was rushed? Was it very buggy because of crunch? Was it very buggy because it was a toxic work environment? Those things lead to that whole buggy thing that you're talking about. Like, it launched and they still took people away, but could it had more time to cook and they wasn't given that opportunity?
I think I don't know what's going on in the building on that, but I do think that what you say, a lot of things do make sense in that manner. I don't know if it's that or not. Hopefully Jason Schreier, this gets his attention where he'll actually look into stuff like this.
We need him on.
Like,
yeah, we'll get him back on.
I think my biggest thing is not just these particular layoffs. It's how do you, first off, how does this industry engage new talent when they're seeing people getting laid off with successful games? Because at least in the past, if people got laid off, you generally saw it. This game didn't do the greatest. They went back to a skeleton crew. They rebuilt back out. Then they made another game. Now you're seeing studios have mass successful games, and they're still getting laid off. Epic made an absurd amount of money last year, and they still laid people off. So it's just like, I do think, people say, well, is the industry about to crash? I do think we're going to have some form of crash. I don't think it's going to be like people are acting like it's like a crash. No. I do think we're going to get to the point where this is going to get way worse before it gets any better.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's a combination of greed. There's a combination of corporate climbing. People, I feel like, this is my opinion. I talked to some people in the industry, and they kind of say the same thing that I'm saying, that I think. These corporations want to keep that pandemic money.
Yeah.
Because one would think, if you had a realistic expectation to this matter, you realize, okay, we're making more money than we've ever made during the pandemic.
Yeah.
But there's a condition for it. We don't expect that next quarter because we knew people were literally stuck in their house. They couldn't go nowhere. They had more money than time at that time. So they spent money. They, all the entire entertainment industry.
Oh yeah.
Like ransacked through the roof. And then after the pandemic, people started going home. I truly believe they started looking at these projections. They're like, oh, okay, this is what we were doing before, but we want that pandemic money. We ain't trying to hear that. We ain't trying to hear that. Oh, we don't need those people. Get them up out of here. We don't need them there. Like, our shareholders are expecting X amount of money, and we don't care what we got to do to get that money.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Obviously, the people who over forecast are never the ones that are penalized, or the people who make those mistakes and those decisions.
And I was told, I'm not going to say names. That's part of the issue, and another part of the issue is we are seeing the results of like 5 to 10 years of these corporations trend chasing and making games revolved around games as a service, battle royale, et cetera, and we're seeing some of these games start to come out, stuff like Suicide Squad that was made when all this stuff was going down, like when all the games as a service started like really, really captivating and catapulting into another level. And he said, you're seeing the decisions of those executives trying to chase that trend and get that money that those trends are getting. You're seeing those games fail, and those executives aren't really getting penalized. It's the people that made the game that are getting penalized.
Yeah, the studios themselves. Absolutely. Lord Sav, your thoughts? Layoffs, culture.
I would say you go first. I'm expecting a delivery in a
Okay,
few
I got
minutes.
you.
I don't want to have to get
up.
up.
Yeah, I got you. I'll do your thing. I'll jump up. Yeah, look, y'all cooking. For me, I look at it, we just got to be honest, right? Where, yes, this is affecting the industry as a whole, right? As far as, Xbox went through layoffs, everyone's laid. Like, we've already at a point, I think it's over more than 6,000 layoffs already.
Yeah,
which is supposedly there's going to be more this week.
There's still going to be more this week. Yeah, we're not over because we still got
8,
the fiscal. Yeah, we still got the fiscal to get through, right? I think it ends on the April, I forgot what date it is. But so I expect more, right? And the thing is, this is my thing. My only pushback in reference to the Sony side, I got to be honest, is that we were told the right way to do things as far as nurturing game development and the quality, aspect. And we were also told, from some pundits that, subscription service and all this stuff is so questionable, it's not sustainable. And that may be the case. We don't know, right? We see Xbox making shifts there. But what we do know now, we can officially say now, Sony themselves are saying their model is not sustainable. We are literally seeing that.
And they've been saying that.
Herman Hulse, Jim Ryan, That we can say. So this is an industry, because I guess for me, this is a bigger issue, because we were told only this is the correct way to do it, you know, kind of thing. And that is proven to be false. So all I will say is this. The sad reality, like we said, is the people who over forecasted during the pandemic or whatever, they are not being penalized. These studios are. For me, this is personal, because as a person who, PlayStation 1 is probably my favorite PlayStation. I'm weird like that. To me, that was an aggressive Sony. That was, we're trying weird things. We're getting into space. We're challenging Nintendo. You know, for me, Sony London, Liverpool is very key, right? For me, I look at, like, remember when Wipeout came out? You know what I'm saying? Like Formula One, those games, that created a culture of what Sony was, right? Sony is. So to see them go away from now Japan studios, right, which we all love them for, now UK, that's a major shift to me. That's a culture shift. That's a personality shift. And I forgot the lady that was part of the original Sony. I forget her name, Connie. I forgot her last name. That, remember that we had what you call it? We had we had Jaffe on, and Jaffe was talking about. He's like, look, I'm telling you, this is a huge deal that she's leaving. Right? She got so many of the classic things.
What, Connie Booth?
Yes, Connie Booth. Thank you. You know, when I hear that kind of stuff, that means the Sony that I know this is not familiar. These are not the same people that, as far as the games that I love and the identity that I aspire to, as far as why, you know, I fell in love with the console. So it is concerning to me, you know. And I will say, look, I'm not going to go over the top as far as the industry is concerned, but this is all cost correction. This is cost correction from over forecasting. And now, sadly, the people who make the games that we love and the studios are paying for it. And the last thing I'll say is just that, to me, I'm from the day, King, you remember this. I'm from the days of the Midways and the Acclaims, right? That made games I love, and they're no longer here. Yep. Right? They don't exist. Like, to me, the worst thing is when a studio is shut down. That, to me, like, you can't come back for that. That's it. And to me, like, to see that is just, man, it's brutal.
For them, for that, it's for them to say, this is our crowning jewel. This is it. Sony is a man without a country right now. Because if this is our crowning jewel, you took it away from Japan. We thought Japan was the crowning jewel. You told us it's not it.
Right.
Oh, okay. This is it. Right. All right, so this is your stronghold. This is where your fight was.
Yeah.
Excuse me. To go over there.
Yeah.
You know what the worst part?
Let's get to it.
Bump all that. The worst part was you had a party over there.
Oh, yeah, that picture is kind of bad.
The optics is disgusting,
bro. The picture is bad. Because you know what that shows? They knew that they were going to let that. They knew that. So they just, whatever reason, I'm trying to be fair in the context, but whatever reason, they still went through with attending this party. So that picture is going to live in infamy, right? You know what I'm saying? There's certain pictures that's going to live in infamy because it's like.
You think they knew? You think the staff knew?
There's no way they didn't know that studio was going to.
I don't think. No.
No, I don't know if the staff. No, staff don't know. The higher up. I'm talking about.
But could you think about it this way? This is why I'm upset. This is why I'm upset, right? We threw pizza parties, right? And Sovereign's not here right now.
Yeah.
We threw pizza parties for the boss, and we was working at one company. We had a pizza party. You know the company that I'm talking about because you worked there.
I know.
Had a pizza party. The week later, they knew what they were going to do, and then we had to go on strike.
Yeah.
Bro, I would have never chipped in for that pizza party, bro. I chipped in to feed the man that was on the opposite side of the picket line talking about, I don't need you to have health care and I don't need to give you a raise. But you knew that before I gave you this pizza, and I could have kept it in my pocket, and we went weeks without pay.
Right.
We went weeks without pay. I could have ate my own pizza. I could have saved that pizza, bro. And I'm looking at these dudes over there, and that same pain that I had then, I felt for those dudes there. We were standing taking pictures with, I remember the dude's name and everything. And I'm like, damn. He handing out cookies. Remember that crap he just handing out the little cookie with his face on it?
Right.
And they had a console there, and they did all this, and you really chip in for these parties. Let's get the money together. You know, they coming over here, Jim and everybody coming over here, knowing exactly what was going to go down, and y'all did them dirty. And then just a couple of days later, y'all did them dirty. It's disgusting. And the environment and the stuff that you're hearing is bad. Not saying that they're the only company doing it. And I know it's
we got to be fair. We got to be fair. There's pictures out of a lot of people out there. And then the company's gone the next in fairness.
Filling them to death. Filling them to death. But I know it's disingenuous coming from me. Mm-hmm. Don't hate the messenger. Listen to the message.
I think the difference...
I'm a bad representative to say anything about Sony and y'all be like, you just capping because you don't like them and you want Kong dead. Mm-hmm. This is true, right? But I'm saying in this truth, there's something nasty happening over here. Yeah. And look at the nasty. Don't worry about what I'm saying. Do your own research on the nasty. But I'm telling you, I don't like them, so I'm going extra hard. But these other guys here, they really like them, and but they are upset as well.
Yeah, fans forget it.
I think the difference between the Blizzard and Phil thing and what's going on here is like they didn't shut down Blizzard. Like,
that's a good point.
Yeah,
like they laid people off of Blizzard. It's different than going there and having a layoff of a certain percentage of the people that work there, and going there having a party and saying, and a couple of days later, the dude that you posted on Twitter to say thank you for coming is posting an article, and I don't know if he wrote it. Maybe his name's just on it, but he didn't actually write it. But writing this article and say, oh yeah, and the people I went and I flew out to, yeah, you guys are gone. Like, that's different. Phil didn't shut down Blizzard. There's just there was layoffs at that company. Right. They literally went and had a farewell party for Jim there, and they didn't know, but they were having a farewell party for themselves too.
That's not even funny at all.
Horrible, man.
But the ironic part about it is you're right.
Like that's just crazy to go. Like if I was sitting there and people were like, "Yo, you know, we got to get rid of London Studios." And
I'm
Jim's
not going
like,
over there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Jim's like, okay, I'll go first flight. They would have told me that. I'm like, no, you got to get Jim to go. I ain't going. Like, you got to get Jim to go.
I won't go. I won't go. Like, I'm sorry. I don't care. I'm not falling on that sword. I'm not going. But again, I'm not him.
No, I hear you. We saw it back. I also just wanted to comment also in reference to one of the underlying things too that we maybe missed in reference to, I think it was a Fire Sprite. They were really making a lot of those PSVR games.
Oh yeah,
that's dead. That's dead.
Yeah, so that to me, you know, London, not Fire Sprite.
London,
PlayStation London Studios.
I think that's the reason why they opened up the PlayStation VR 2 to the PC.
Knowing the timing is interesting. The timing is interesting because if they were one of the studios that was really going to be heading that, and now you're shutting that down, that indicates to me where you are with VR. And then we've always known how they marketed the VR device. It was like, you need a PlayStation to play this, right? So now that's being opened up. So I got to give you your flowers, King. You've always said, yo, this is a passion project. They don't believe in it. We're starting to see the signs that they are shifting, because that is a huge philosophical shift. To remember, they wanted to garden that VR. They wanted to say, you can't play this unless you have a PlayStation 5. Now to say, okay, PC, we're going to start working on getting that open over there. I have to look at that as a strong pivot.
That's a huge red flag.
Yeah.
Like, if you have a PlayStation VR 2 right now, and you don't look at them opening up that ecosystem like that with a side eye and them shutting down one of the biggest studios. I don't know. I don't really keep track. I assume it's one of the biggest studios that was making VR games. And you don't sit there and be like, should I be concerned? Like, you're not paying attention at this point. Like, if
you believe in PlayStation VR, you're concerned right now. There's no doubt.
I don't want no one in the next 2 or 3 months or 6 months to a year, whenever they decide that, to announce, we're pulling back our support from the VR, be shocked, because the signs have been there this whole time.
Yeah, in fact, Sav, you're back now. Wanted to get your thoughts. all this stuff. So much to attend to it. Obviously, Jim Ryan statements, Herman Holt statements. 8% of the workforce. London studio closing.
We got almost 1,000 watches. Like, share it up, please.
And Fire Sprite. I don't know if you got a chance to hear me with the toxicity report and the investigators. Like, go wherever you want to go with it. What's your thoughts?
A lot, man. I mean, I just think the conversation around is kind of, it's getting old already, right? The conversation around, hey, this is reductions from overestimations during COVID. And the problem I have with that is that it's not an overestimation. They knew what they were doing. They're not stupid. The only thing they can be forgiving for not knowing is how long the pandemic was going to last, how long we were going to be at a work from home environment where, if you think about it, how long does it usually take for a vaccine for something to come out? Years and years and years. Yeah. And here we are 4 years later from when it started, we're back pretty much to normal, right? So all of the bets they made, they knew what was going to happen. They, when you're looking at a game industry that hasn't really grown in terms of its base over multiple years, and all of a sudden you see a jump during this period when everyone is at home because of this outlandish, extraneous situation, world-altering situation. Those numbers aren't real. Right. But the point of the company is to grow. The point of a public company, especially, is to grow and to continue to appeal and appease to its shareholders. So you're seeing this growth. It's not organic. It's not sustainable. You're still going to take advantage of it in the moment and deal with the fallout of it later. That's the nature of a company that needs to continue to grow and make money. So it's disingenuous to say, oh, we were taken off guard by, we
were surprised.
We're surprised. You weren't surprised. You took advantage of the situation. You bulked up, knowing full well you'd have to reduce when everything got back to normal. You can be forgiven for not knowing when back to normal was going to be. That's it. So here we are back out in the world much faster than maybe they hoped it happened because of the money they were bringing in and because of the extra people they had in their ecosystems.
Right.
And now all of it's happening at the same time, and all of the realities of all of these, $200 million games that took forever to come out now and got delayed even more because of COVID, are coming out, and the realization is that we can't sustain that stuff anymore, are just hitting all at the same time. Yeah. So it's sad to say, but all the reductions that we're seeing now, this freaking Valentine's Day massacre that we're seeing in the games industry, is only going to continue until there's the determination that this is the leveling off point, and we're kind of back where we can be sustainable. And this applies to the entire industry, not PlayStation. So
this is the whole. Yeah,
this is as a whole. So that's just the reality of it. On the PlayStation side, what happened was that in the Jim Ryan era, they made, Jim Ryan, the marketing guy, he's looking at what's big right now. And he says, okay, we're going to take big bets into service games. We're going to take big bets. We have this hardware that it's done. We're going to put it out, and we're going to hold the line in terms of the messaging. We're going to hold the line in terms of the messaging.
They're going to hold the line. We can't use that. We can't use that.
Hold on.
No, we can't use that.
Knowing full well.
We ain't going to use that.
No, you got to TM it first. You got to TM it first. I got to be able to.
TM, bro. We ain't going to put that with them dudes.
No, we don't. We don't do that with them.
Okay, we will.
Yeah, you do something
keep
else.
Our messaging consistent.
we will stand strong.
We will stand strong.
We will be firm.
We'll stand strong and keep our messaging consistent, knowing full well that the support isn't there. Right? We're gonna lure them in with a first party game at launch.
Lure them in.
And nothing else. Gotcha. And nothing else. And nothing else. And we're gonna hope. And we're going to hope that we can get third-party deals or whatever, but we're not really going to invest in this. So,
are you saying, you think midway through they decided they didn't want to support that platform anymore?
I think they knew. Going in, they knew. Going in, they knew.
It was
Because
a bait car.
The bets, it was just one of those things where it's not like a movie where you write it off, right? It's like we have all of these units. They're basically built already. Let's put them out at a premium price, right? A higher price than the actual console itself that's required to play it up until this point. And we'll see how many we sell. And maybe they've sold 1 million. Maybe. I don't even know that. So they knew. So at the end of the day, the issue is rectifying the bets that they took into service space, right? Which they're doing. A lot of canceled games, Twisted Metal now canceled. Which was Fire Sprite's game, or Fire Sprite's game was something else.
I believe that was the Fire Sprite one, but